Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to try and answer a musical question, which is really a collector's penance when you think about it. Why do I have so many recordings of the René Jacob Mozart La Finta Giardiniera? I really don't know. Everywhere I look, I see this recording of La Finta Giardiniera sticking out at me. I mean, there's one right over here where I pulled this one from. Then there's one right down here. I mean, like right behind one of the little cat tree things here. There it is, La Finta Giardiniera. And there are at least a couple downstairs, like in the overflow room. I don't know where they came from. I mean, did they just hatch spontaneously, or I don't recall ordering them? And I mean, I've listened to it, but not more than a couple of times of this version, that is, because not only is this not Mozart's original La Finta Giardiniera, it's a 1796 Prague rewrite of the original opera buffa, which Mozart produced in... Oh, let me see. Wait a minute. I can tell you exactly. Well, no, I can't tell you. But it was written for Munich, just like Idomeneo, 5 years before Idomeneo. So go figure out the dates. And it's an endlessly long opera buffa. It's over 3 hours, even in this performance, which employs a few cuts, slightly, not a lot. And it was lavishly reorchestrated in Mozart's late style by someone who was obviously familiar with it. So I mean, it's very attractive, but La Finta Giardiniera? I mean, what is La Finta Giardiniera? Well, it means the fake lady gardener, in case you're interested. And to sort of get a sense of the plot, I talk about it in my book, Getting the Most Out of Mozart, the vocal works. And the best way to understand what's going to go on is just to do a summary of who the characters are. Let me just give this to you. You ready? Don Anchise, mayor of Lagonero, who is in love with Sandrina. Then we have the Marchesa Violante Onesti, lover of Count Belfiore, believed dead and pretending to be a gardener named Sandrina. So that's Sandrina, the believed dead Marchesa Violante Onesti. Then you've got Count Belfiore, formerly in love with Violante, who's presumed dead, and now the lover of Arminda. And then Arminda is a Milanese lady, previously in love with Cavaliere Ramiro, but she's now engaged to Count Belfiore. Then there's Cavaliere Ramiro, who is in love with Arminda, who has left him, and Serpetta, the mayor's maid, who's in love with the mayor, and finally Roberto, Violante, the believed dead Marchesa's servant, pretending to be her cousin and disguised as a gardener named Nardo, who is in love with Serpetta, even though she does not love him. That's what's going to get worked out. And the fact that it only takes 3 hours to work that out is something of a marvel. But that's not the point. That's not really my question. My question is, how on earth did I wind up with, I don't know how many boxes of La Finta Giardiniera, conducted by René Jacob with the Freiburg Baroque Orchestra? Yes, it's an important work. It's important because it was written for Munich, like Idomeneo, which had a splendiferous orchestra and major operatic life at that time. It's important because it's Mozart's first major opera buffa. It has 3 acts, but it has 2 of the finales. 2 of the acts have magnificent long finales, like 15 minutes each, which really foreshadow what Mozart was going to do in Figaro. It really gives us a sense of how the young Mozart was going to evolve as a composer of opera buffa. So all of that's wonderful, very wonderful. And of course, the recordings before this one employed the original version, which is much less lavishly scored, no clarinets. It did have 4 horns. The Munich orchestra was pretty hefty. but it's mostly a couple of oboes and a couple of, horns and a flute here and there. It's earlier Mozart and written for an earlier time, and this version was updated and they put a little more lipstick on the pig, as they say in the business, to make it more glamorous and adaptable for Prague audiences. And it was good that, Jacob decided to record this version. But why do I have so many versions of it? I don't know. I don't remember ever ordering them, actually, ever. I remember listening to it. It's as if they've always been there. Somehow, every shelf. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up now is because all of these shelves that you see around you here and over here, there's like more of them, and there's one over there. These were the original shelves I had my collection in Brooklyn. But when I moved, originally, I moved twice. And so I had everything once in my apartment because I had an entire floor of a walk-up. But then I bought my apartment and I had to condense it down. So all of the stuff that I had previously that was all beautifully alphabetized, I had to take home and to Connecticut to stick in my parents' barn. And that's what became the original overflow room. It was all alphabetized and lovingly packed and preserved by moi, by me. And so I did it, and I was very happy. And I kept it alphabetized. When I moved here, I repacked it. It was all alphabetized and unpacked it in perfect order. And that's the new overflow room. It's all there in alphabetical order. However, when I moved from Brooklyn to Connecticut, I had movers who were supposed to be expert packers. And they were going to pack it all. And I told them very carefully in what order to do everything. And it goes without saying that they scrambled everything up. Totally. But not only did they scramble up the original alphabet that I had in these shelves, but they intermixed it with piles and piles of unalphabetized stuff that I had sitting in the apartment but hadn't had a chance to file because I didn't have the room to do it until I moved someplace that had more space. So it all came as a jumble. And a jumble it has remained since a few years ago when I finally moved here. But I know where everything was because I put it all in these shelves. I put it all away. And, some of it stayed in alphabetical clumps. I mean, I kind of knew where it all was. But finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. And I have been re-alphabetizing with the help of a very, very kind student who has been assisting me. And we've been re-alphabetizing. And so now these things are alphabetized again, mostly. It's one more shelf we have to go, but we're really in good shape. And one of the things I noticed as we re-alphabetized things is that I kept finding recordings of the Jacob La Finta Giardiniera, in addition to the ones I already had downstairs in the overflow room in perfect alphabetical order. So I knew they were there. And here it is. Record collectors are strange beings. I mean, we all know that. And I don't make any excuses for the fact that these things popped up, and I might have had some sleepwalking episode where I, got onto Amazon and just ordered hundreds of copies of La Finta Giardiniera. But I still don't know why that. I'm completely baffled. And it's just one of those things about record collecting. You get to a certain point and you just kind of forget about what's there. And if it's not a work about which you care deeply, and I regret to say I don't really care about La Finta Giardiniera deeply. I mean, it was nice. I had to listen to it a few times when I was writing my book on Mozart's vocal music. So I had to get a bunch of recordings, and one of them may have popped up in connection with that. But it still doesn't explain the others. And when you don't care about something deeply, it could be you see it and you say, oh, I forgot that I already had that. And it's particularly easy to forget you don't forget that you have something when it's in several locations, like in New York and in Connecticut and other states all at once. And so, maybe you figure, I need to listen to it again. Or maybe sometimes what happens is that, you want to hear it and you can't find it. And so you just order another one. And then you put it away and you forget about that one. And then you order another one. But I can't ever remember a time where I woke up and scratched my head and said, oh my God, I just have to hear La Finta Giardiniera. It's a mystery. It's one of those mysteries of record collecting. And I think that It would be fun to have a little chat about the mysteries of record collecting. This is one of mine, my La Finta Giardiniera collection. I would be very interested to hear what strange things you've noticed about your record collection. Or maybe I'm the only crazy one who's ever done this. That's a possibility. But let me hear from you and tell me what you've discovered strangely sitting around in your archives for reasons you can't for the life of you remember. And keep on listening, friends, even to La Finta Giardiniera. It's a delightful work, once. So keep on listening, and thanks for joining me, friends. Take care.